And we're live.
Hi, welcome to the Libertarian Party of Texas candidate highlight. I'm Amanda Gibbs. I'm the comms director. My co host is Nathan Polsky, who does everything. And tonight we are joined with Clyde Garland. And hi, Clyde.
Hi, Amanda and Nathan.
Hi. All right. So let's just kind of get right into this. Clyde, I was down in Brazos County late last year. I got to meet you a little bit. So you're running for Congress. Which district are you running for in
17.
District 17? All right. Well,
Mhm.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? So I know a little bit about you, but for all of our viewers out there who may not know who Clyde Garland is, who are you?
Well, as you can readily see, I'm an old white guy who's running for office. And one of the things that makes me special is I believe in liberty,
Mm-hmm.
unlike all our incumbents who have proven themselves not to believe in
Mm-hmm.
that concept, liberty. They push on us socialist programs at every opportunity. And unfortunately, we go along with it because we've been trained to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've introduced myself, um, I wonder if you're running for the judge position, right?
No, neither of us are running for anything right now.
Okay, neither of you guys are running.
Yep.
Okay, you look like the guy running for that judge statewide position. Okay. Okay, well, I'm sure you're wearing many hats, so you're doing this.
Mhm.
What other hats are you wearing for the Libertarian Party?
So personally, I am helping a lot with the candidates.
Yeah,
So doing these
our county
interviews,
has made use of your
hmm
website
hmm working
for this
on
county.
working with counties, working with candidates, also doing on select. So part of the executive committee for the state party. I'm
What
also
does
the
non-select mean?
on select, so the state libertarian executive committee. So
Oh, you're on. Okay, you're on that. Okay,
yes,
all right, on
and then
select.
Both
Okay,
of
also
us are.
yep,
yep,
and Amanda's on it too.
yep, and
I guess. Okay.
I'm also the county chair for Collin County
Oh,
Libertarian Party.
good. Okay. Many hats.
Many
All
hats.
that's the way it is for libertarians. If you're involved, you have to wear many hats because just to do the bare minimum you're hoping to do to be able
hmm
to get things done.
Yep, that's
Oh,
right.
for sure.
Okay, so I'm trying to just wear one hat running for office, but I'm helping other candidates run for office also, so that
hmm
gets involved, just as it does with you guys.
Oh, for certain.
All right. So,
So,
oh, go ahead.
what really inspired you to run? And you've run multiple races because I remember you running last time too.
I run just about every 2 years,
Hmm.
and it is the most economical way to get the word out for libertarians to run for office. No matter how you slice it,
hmm
you get the most bang for your buck, or no bucks at all.
Right.
Just show up at events and answer any questions anybody asks you, and you can and no matter how you slice the numbers, you get more exposure by running for office than doing anything else you could possibly do. And it's the easiest way to promote the Libertarian Party. And I try very hard to get others to run. But
hmm
the reason I end up running because I usually fail at that task. So to keep from being too much of a hypocrite, I'll go ahead and run myself for whatever position is left open.
hmm Well, I've looked at Brazos County, and I think y'all have the most number of candidates running. So you're doing a great job at that, and I wish other counties could be as successful as you guys are.
Facts.
Well, that's not by accident. It just didn't. We happen to have a chair who's very open to allowing help
hmm
to help him. Like myself, I'm willing to help him in that area.
hmm
But he's done a lot of work in getting a lot of the candidates.
hmm
So because of his work and my work, we have more candidates many times over than any other county
Yes.
in Texas, and we will get more. We'll get a higher percentage vote because we've been working a little harder than every other county for the last 23 years,
hmm
and it builds slowly. Instead of our presidential candidate getting 2% throughout Texas, he will get 3% in Brazos County. So
hmm
it's a hard road, but every effort you make does add up.
hmm Well, how long have you been in the Libertarian Party, and what kind of got you first involved with them?
Uh, Ed Clark gave Ed Clark was able to buy commercial time because his a Koch brother was his vice presidential candidate, so he was able to fund the money. So at 3 a.m. one night, I happened to be awake, and he had a 30-minute commercial, and so I kept track of what he was saying. I said, well, I agree with him more than anybody. I didn't agree with everything he said
Hmm.
because I was still at that time locked into what I'd been taught in school, and so I was really just like everybody, and even most libertarians nowadays, they're still not too sure about that drug thing.
Hmm.
You can't let people make their own decisions on what drugs they take or what they buy or what they sell. And it took me 20 years to break out of that. Had to read quite a few books and read a few articles. So but the point is, at that time, I realized I was more in line with what everything he said, except for issues like drugs and a few others. But he caused me to research it because it was like saying saying the sun will not rise tomorrow. I
Hmm.
mean, I was so locked into my brain that my knee jerk reaction, just like all of us, because I was taught so well to be against drugs. That's what schools are about. Is warping our minds. So everything. So all social issues that they taught me have proven pretty much to be almost all wrong.
Hmm.
And it took 20 years for me to. I think I'm a little more enlightened than others in these issues, but
Hmm.
it took me even after I started reading how, all of the damage that the drug war was doing. I still held out because it was just so natural. But
Hmm.
finally, I made the leap. I says, okay, we're better off if people had the right to choose if they're going to take drugs or not, if they're going to sell them or not,
Hmm.
and get government out of it. Only if we actually hurt someone get government get involved.
Yeah, I know that's a lot of individuals that I've talked with, even some within the Libertarian Party themselves, are still really held up on, do you decriminalize, do you legalize, or do you go even harsher on punishment? And it's, I still remember the DARE program back in the 90s in school. It was all about don't do drugs, drugs are bad for you, and it just indoctrination. So, yeah, coming out of the 90s generation, s- still going strong. And it was just late last year, I think I was, saw a table outside of a restaurant, and someone was set up there and they had DARE all over it. So
Mm.
apparently it's still a program that's a
Oh,
failed
it is.
failed program is still going strong.
Yep. Well, everything you see about against drugs is true for alcohol,
Yep.
many times over. And we did it right for alcohol. The
Hmm.
people thought we'd be better off if we outlawed it. So they got together, got 2/5 of the states to pass to outlaw alcohol, and then a bad problem got tremendously worse.
Yes.
Everybody 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 knows the history of alcohol. I mean, corrupting our police force, people killing each other, trying to secure territories, and then the populists realized, well, this didn't work, so they did it right again. They passed another constitutional amendment and and abolished the first one.
Hmm.
And amazingly, within months, all that all that all that violence went away.
Yep.
However,
I mean,
our corrupted law force took still there, and it got better over here. But then we had the war on drugs, and then the same thing happened again, and it's still going strong, and it's horrible.
we can't forget that during Prohibition, the government did poison its citizens.
So it sounds like in an ideal world, and we get many libertarians elected into Congress, into state houses and whatnot. Everybody's got their top priorities, right? So, Clyde, what are your top three priorities if and when you get elected? It sounds like ending the war on drugs is a big one.
Nowhere near it.
Oh, nowhere near
Nowhere
it.
near it.
Okay, all right.
Okay. Uh, well, first of all, just to be very clear,
Hmm.
I'm not going to win. I will get 3%.
Hmm.
I will get 4% in Brazos, 3%, and the rest of in the other county, in the other 13 counties that that we're representing. So I want to, but it's not, but it's fun to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if I did win? What would I do?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first of all, I'd make very clear what my philosophy is. My philosophy is, if I can remember it, is that we have the right to pursue happiness, as long as we respect everyone else's right to do the same. If we take a right from another, we risk losing our right. We risk losing some or all our rights if a jury agrees.
Mm-hmm.
And every position that I take, I review that. Am I taking a right from someone? Am I allowing government to take a right from someone?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a better way to do this? And the answer is almost always yes. Don't take a right from someone, because that's unlibertarian. It's inefficient. It goes against the Constitution. You may remember the Bill of the Declaration of Independence. It says we have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Actually, the pursuit of happiness, there was a lot of argument over. They wanted to say the right to property when they were arguing over the Constitution, but they went with pursuit of happiness. It took me a lifetime to figure out, wow, that's really all our rights are a subset of that one. We have the right to pursue happiness, no matter what right you refer to. It's just a subset of that one. Our right to life, yeah, that's a subset of. Yes, we all like to live if we can, and we all like to be as free as we can. And both of the first two are a subset of the third one. And no matter what right you can come up with, it's a subset of the right to pursue happiness. And of course, the right to pursue happiness is almost an illusion, but something well worth trying to achieve. The best we can do is have happiness for short periods of time. So it's the pursuit of happiness that's really the happiness. This is what makes us happy. As long as we believe we have the right to pursue happiness, we're going to be a lot more happy than if we don't believe we have that right. And our whole system is designed to make us believe we don't have the right to do that. We have the right to follow orders, to do whatever. We exist for government, not for ourselves. And so that is my main philosophy. And so if we can pursue that, then the drug problem goes away. Now, there's no such thing as utopia, but things get better if we can just stop trying to tell other people how to live their life.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really thought about how really all laws, everything else in the Constitution and just our way of life falls underneath happiness and that pursuit of. So now I have to go back and think about it if I can find something that doesn't fall under that.
Well, you probably can't.
No, I probably can't.
Well, one of the issues I always try to tell everyone when I give my pitch is, okay, tell me the exception. That's my philosophy.
Yeah.
Let me know any exceptions you can find, and I'll address it. And if you can make a good argument, then because I want to start a list of exceptions. I don't have one yet.
I was about to ask, has anybody found an exception yet?
But yeah.
All right, so you're down in the Brazos County area. Is this going to be a 2-way race, 3-way race, 4-way race?
It's a 2-way race. If it was a 3-way against a Republican Democrat, okay, that is the case. I'm running against a Republican Democrat. There's no fourth candidate.
Okay.
If it was a 2-way race against a Republican or a Democrat, it wouldn't matter. I would get, let's see, what's the number? I've already ran the numbers. Let's see, it's 30-something%. 30, I'm going to guess I will get 32%.
And that's if it was a 2-way race.
The 2-way race, yes. And it matters if I spend $500,000 and 1,000 hours, or spend no time at all. That
same percentage.
Maybe I could get it maybe up to 33% instead of 32%. So there's really no point in wasting my life and money to try to get 1 more percent point. Just being there is what's important.
All right.
But playing the game, what would I do if I was elected? First of all, keep in mind that U.S. represent 1 million constituents, basically. However, this constituent number doesn't interest me. It's my boss are the people who vote
Mm-hmm.
because and I'll offer, and if I was elected, I play these games all the time. If I was elected, everyone who is a registered voter in my district can be my advisor, and the way they do that is they elect themselves. And so half of 1,500,000 vote or registered voters. Only half of those vote though. But nevertheless, all half a million would have the option to be my advisor. Have history shows, and I've done it many times. History shows that people are not really interested in politics, even though half a million are interested enough to go vote because it makes them feel good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an advocate. Hey, if you're not interested in politics, don't vote. I
Mm-hmm.
only want people who know something about politics to vote.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't even register to vote because because as libertarian, you have the right not to vote. You
Right.
have not take no interest in politics. Leave it up to everybody else who takes an interest in politics. So the half a million would be given the opportunity to be my advisor, and they volunteer or not. And history shows only 1% will volunteer,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll have a list served, so that 1% that's 5,000 people, and of course, uh, and and only 1% of those will actually bother to even give me advice. So that gets it down to 500, which is still too many. And then I'll ask those who are interested in politics, hey, who's interested in this topic? If anybody comes to me with the topic, I'll turn it to you because I know who you are. I know what your philosophy is. I agree with your philosophy. I'll let you answer the questions on drugs. I'll let you answer the question on the military draft, etc. And so there'll be a tier system that will develop naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for the first thing was anybody wants to volunteer, I look on my record and say, okay, yeah, they are a registered voter, so yes, they qualify to be my advisor. And this is where it gets interesting. I do believe in democracy. I think it's a terrible system. Democracy is a terrible system, but it's better than anything else we've been able to devise for keeping violence to a minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Because the only other way is to get people to agree. If we have a difference, okay, let majority rule. But the other system is whoever's strongest will rule.
Mm-hmm.
That's a horrible system. So, so, but hopefully because I'm elected, my voice will have a little more impact than all my advisors, and so I'll try really hard to make my libertarian presentation says, hey, let's don't have this socialist program, but my advisors will. And I'm getting ready to vote, and the vote is, will we have this socialist program or will we not? How do you want me to vote? And I'll give a really strong argument why you shouldn't vote for it. However, if my advisors tell me to vote for it, I will probably vote for it because they're my boss. They hired me.
They're the
And
ones who elected you. Yep.
I hope they fire me because they don't do that. Once they hire somebody, they keep them forever. At 95% retention rate, no matter how bad they do, which is well, it's the problem with we have to take responsibility for that because we voted them in, we keep them in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my next thing is why is 90% of our federal laws unconstitutional and 50% of our state laws unconstitutional? And my answer is because we don't read the Constitution. Our elected reps don't read it, and of course voters don't read it. So the solution is, okay, read the Constitution. How can we get people to read it? And actually, and here's why we don't read it is because first of all, they don't teach it in for 13 years in school. They don't teach that, and if they do teach it, everybody tells us it's too scholarly, too complicated for us to even know what it says. Of course, that's wrong. Anybody who reads it knows that it's an easy read. However, it does take 2 hours and it's 60 pages long. But there is a summary that's 1 page long, takes 5 minutes to read, and it's even easier to read than the Constitution. And you capture 90% of the Constitution. So I'll pitch that. So I pitch that at every opportunity. And so go to Brazos LP.org and look under documents, and there it is, one page summary of the Constitution. So I pitch that at every opportunity, so I'm pitching it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, please read it. It's only one page, and it captures 90% of the Constitution. If anything in that little summary interests you, go to the Constitution and read it. But no need to read it. If you read that, you're up to speed. You know more than all our elected officials know. And so I pitched that.
So I think Amanda, is that an opportunity to put a direct link to the speed read for the Constitution in the YouTube link?
Probably. I will have to write it down. And I don't have a pen right now because I'm hiding from the kids being loud.
BrazosLP.org. They have it under documents.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah. I think if we
open
can,
it in my tab.
yeah, if we can put that into the YouTube description, then anybody who goes and watches this video will have a direct link to that document. So this should make it inexcusable for anybody to watch the video and say, "Well, I couldn't find it," because we'll have a link for it.
Good.
I'm opening it on my phone so I don't lose it.
All right. Well, so it sounds. What sets you apart from your opponents? So you've got a Republican and a Democrat running. Are either one of them an incumbent?
Yes, and of course the incumbent will win. He will get. Let's see. Okay, he's well entrenched. He'll get 62% because he's in a Republican area. And the interesting about Texas, because you represent Texas, is that Texas is a Republican state. However, it boils down to 21 U.S. rep positions are strongholds for Republicans, and 13 are strongholds for Democrats. And the interesting thing about that is the elections are over in March. Whoever the dominant party is, when the 4% of the population who go into the primary and vote, the dominant party will decide who your elected official will be, because whoever the dominant party elects at their primary, that person will be elected again in November, 8 months later. So 4% of the population decide who our reps are, and so that actually should give us hope, because we only have to convince 4% of the people in the dominant parties that hey, don't. And I pitch this at every opportunity. Do not. I know it's a lot of trouble to. I know the best you can do for the average voter is to know a little bit about the philosophy of the parties. Okay, so you're a dyed Republican or you're a dyed Democrat. Therefore, okay, that's fine. Go into your primary, but don't vote for your incumbent. Vote for whoever's running against him. You have a 90% chance that will be the better vote. And you don't have to do any research. Yes, if you're willing to do research and you happen to have that rare exception, yeah, okay, keep him around. Even though it doesn't matter, our system doesn't really need a person to be a lifetime representative. There's nothing wrong with changing them every time. But so for the lazy, and that's all of us. We're lazy. We don't research the 100 people on the ballot. Determine who's best. We're libertarians, so that makes our job easy. We just go in and vote libertarians. We don't care about what the other people say.
Right.
And so
I totally do. I research everybody.
She's an overachiever, though, so she's.
I do. I will stalk like Facebook pages for like city council and stuff like that. I totally will not cast a vote for somebody that I've not looked up.
Well, city council, you don't have the advantage of knowing what party they are. And I think it'd be very helpful if they've actually put the R or D by their name. That would tell people a lot about the candidate. But that's a lot of work. So congratulations. It may help you vote, but if you can get a following in what do you consider in your county to be the dominant party?
Okay, my county would be Democrat because I'm Harris County.
Oh, okay.
But my city is a bit more Republican leaning, but we do have 18% that consider themselves independent voters. And I'm trying to find this 18% of the 30,000 people in my city.
Well, good luck with that. Yeah. Well, good luck with even finding the 1% who votes for our president.
But yeah, I know that I'm an overachiever but I have to make sure that I feel good about my vote. And if I don't feel good about a person, and if I can't find out enough information, I absolutely will just leave it blank. Or
When you
yeah.
do all that research, if you can get an in, which I have with the Republican and Democratic Party here in our county, actually, we have a list service. I've grown it to 140 people, and most of them are Republican. I call them Republican libertarians because they have the only way to get on a list serve is score a Republican on the Nolan chart. They score a Libertarian on the Nolan chart, but they're Republicans because they vote Republican,
Right.
and we're so almost so most of the people on the 140 are in that category. We libertarians, I call libertarians because we're libertarian philosophy and we vote libertarian. We are a minority on our own list there, which is fine with me. Because I've over 40 years I've been trying to figure out how can we move us in a libertarian direction, and I'm leaning toward right now talking the dominant party into, hey, stop voting for the incumbent. He's the one that's passed all these laws.
Mm-hmm.
But vote for the whoever's running against him, and he'll be the better candidate, and he'll still win because we vote party, we don't vote person. Now
Mm-hmm.
you vote person because you do a lot of research, but for everybody else, they vote party, and so it doesn't matter. Actually, in the presidential candidate, I'm willing to bet that either candidate, either if Trump were to drop out and actually endorse someone else, that whoever he endorsed would get more votes than Trump would get if he stays in.
Oh
And
yeah.
it would work the same with Biden. If Biden were to drop out and pick somebody else, that whoever they picked would get more votes than he would get if Biden stayed in. And that's true for all the way down to the county level, because 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 if you associate with these people, especially because we're a Republican county, so I go to their meetings and everything like that, and they hate the status quo, and they are the status quo. They
Mm-hmm.
elect people and they hate them, but they're a subset, and they're a small group. So and they're not the people who actually go to the primary. They're like 10-20% of that group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they're hardcore. They hate the people that get elected, and they try really hard. And so if we can somehow grow that group, uh, so that when the primary happens, they'll stop electing their incumbents, and
Mm-hmm.
eventually the candidates will learn, hey, maybe I should consider passing liberty programs rather than socialist programs.
Mm-hmm.
It really boils down to is a liberty program, which means they're going to leave you alone, or is it a socialist program, which is going to tell you to do something?
Mm-hmm.
Even the military draft. Oh, okay. Okay. Here's the big issue, and here's the reason we are in mess we are, is because we have been indoctrinated with 13 years of a socialist school system. Most people aren't willing to recognize that our school system it can't get more socialist than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be natural that they're going to be the school system is going to be pro-socialism because they are socialist program. And even if they don't teach socialism directly, there's 100 ways they can teach it indirectly. And so I'm reduced to asking people. Oh, here's the interesting thing. Even with 13 years of required socialist training, everyone who graduates always has a always has they have socialist programs that they reject. Even with all that indoctrination, everyone who they always have their I call favorite worst, so they're completely against. But the other 200 subtle ones, like the Department of Energy and Alphabet,
Mm-hmm.
almost every alphabet is a socialist program. But there's always a few that they have managed to reject, and
Mm-hmm.
so they stand against those things. But making the leap from, okay, here's the ones you reject to, can you make the leap to rejecting all of them?
Mm-hmm.
No way. No way. We got to have Medicare. We got to have Medicaid, and we got to have Social Security, and we all have. And now everybody has their favorite social program that they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to do no matter what. So anyway, those are, and I'll be forced to vote for them if my advisors tell me, yeah, but don't get rid of Medicare, don't get rid, don't, etc. Because there's no point, I would accomplish nothing by going against my bosses.
It would be a very short term if you did.
Well, I'm hoping it'd be a short term no matter what. I like everybody to have a short term.
So none of these career politicians who have been in Congress for 30 plus years, their annual income behind the scenes is more than the average citizen and is 5 times more than what they're actually getting paid by Congress. So not one of those types of politicians.
No. Well, I'm human. I was, I don't know. I don't know how many billions I have to offer to pay me to get to maybe switch sides.
Everybody's got that number.
But the question is, can I do better with the $1 billion supporting liberty programs, even though I'm caving in on these few socialist programs, which would probably happen anyway. And the argument becomes very strong to be corrupt.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes time to learn to be corrupt, and the longer you're in, the more corrupt you can become, and the more value you can, because everybody knows you're corrupt,
Mm-hmm.
and they know how much the price is and how to win your vote,
Mm-hmm.
to get to support a bridge to nowhere, to support research is where they've really destroyed research programs, and actually and that's why COVID was so bad, because nobody would go against the narrative. If any researcher who went against the narrative that COVID was just a bad flu, it's just a bad flu. Everything they did made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a bad flu, etc. Well, anyway, you guys are libertarians. You know more about that than just about anybody. So you know all the negatives. Most people still think that it was wonderful that government saved us from COVID. They did, they enslaved us, and this is interesting. They enslaved us to save us, and slavery costs a lot of money. It costs $17 trillion to enslave them. And
what is debt at this point? It doesn't matter anymore to the federal government. Just keep piling the money on there.
Well, I don't know how the reckoning is going to come out. Where I have developed my own money system, and of course our system is so corrupt. Well, fiat money. I mean, it's fake fiat money is a way to say fake money.
Mm-hmm.
So that you create cryptos. Okay, cryptos.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most important? What's the first crypto?
Bitcoin's the most popular one.
Bitcoins. Okay, we'll use bitcoins to represent all cryptos. It's a fake money also, but it's so much better than the fake money we have because it has a limit.
Mm-hmm.
They just arbitrarily pick a limit, and that gives it value.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to back it up like gold does.
Mm-hmm.
When you used to have gold certificates, well, the dollar represented an ounce of gold, and so it had something to back it up. But so crypto is a horrible system, but because it's not backed by anything except the fact that it just has a limited number of them, and therefore that gives the illusion that it has value.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people buy into that, but there's a better system that will. Well, once the dollar fails, and of course the crypto will fold with it, it may last maybe a decade longer, because that's all people know how to use. They've learned how to use it, but eventually a better system that is backed by something will come by and destroy both of them completely.
Yeah,
I'm a big fan of bartering.
Well, bartering. Well, real money is always barter. The bottom line is bartering. Bartering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, back 100 years ago when we had gold. Well, it was an extremely efficient way to barter. Instead of bartering 20 chickens for a cow, well, that's not 100 chickens for a pig.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very complicated. Now you barter $1 bill for $100 bill or $200 bills. it made the transaction very efficient.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a wonderful invention, money. It did move us forward until our governments decided to to soak it dry
Mm-hmm.
of any value it may have.
Yep. 100% agreed there. I've seen all the charts that show once the federal government took us off the gold standard, just the amount of inflation that just skyrocketed because of that.
Yeah, and skyrocket and inflation is just a hidden form of taxes
Yep.
in plain sight. But nobody real very few people seem to realize that. But there it is.
Yeah, I've heard the standard libertarian messaging. Taxation is theft. Recently I've been hearing taxation is theft, inflation even more so.
Yes, because it's hidden. Well, is it hidden? Hmm. Well, okay, taxation is right out in the open. They pass a law. They're
Hmm.
going to tax you so much. Okay, that's and yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah, and inflation is not.
Because it's hidden.
Yeah, inflation you're not paying attention
Directly.
to.
I mean, I am paying attention to how much less I get in my grocery cart for a certain amount of money.
Compare
Yes.
$100
Be
in
able to-
groceries today to $100 in groceries 10 years ago.
For
Right.
sure. Even 5 years ago.
Well, the 16th Amendment, which allowed the government to change the taxing system to direct taxes, is an interesting story because first of all, it was fraudulently done. Uh, the Constitution requires 2/5 of the states to approve any amendment to the Constitution.
Hmm.
However, the Congress just arbitrarily went ahead and said that the 2/5 approved it. They did all kinds of trickery to make it appear so on the surface. So consequently, the 16th Amendment is unconstitutional because it never was approved by 2/5 of the states. They just certified that it was, and the reason was you can't change the wording. In several states said, okay, we'll approve this amendment, but we've changed the wording to this, and so they sent it into Congress, and the guy in charge just ignored that and went ahead and said they approved the original wording, and so they finally got to the 2/5 needed, and he presented it to Congress, and Congress went along with it. Of course, a lot of people did raise arms about it, but not enough did so, and actually the rich people didn't care because originally it was pitched as 1% on the 1%. We're going to require the 1% top wage earners to pay 1% of their income. And one foolish guy in Congress raised the objection, hey, I make a motion that we say put a limit. You can never make it more than 10%. And he was laughed. He didn't even get a second. He was laughed out. He was laughed down. He didn't even get a second to his motion. So they went ahead and passed it as worded. And so there's no limit to it. And boy, and even in the United States went up to 90%, at times.
They'll never raise it above 10%.
So, yeah, nobody could visualize that.
We went to war on, what was it, 4%? 2%?
But the interesting thing is the fraud involved in it, because with the Constitution, it's unconstitutional. But if enough years goes by without a reasonable amount of pressure to get people to be against it, then it becomes custom, and custom is stronger than our Constitution.
Yeah.
So no matter how strong the evidence that what I said is true, it doesn't matter anymore because so many years have gone by. It is the Constitution, even though it was fraudulently put in there.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Clyde, you've answered, I had a whole list of questions here, and I think you knocked all of them out, if not most of them. So thank you very much. Amanda, do you have any other questions for Clyde? Or Clyde, do you have anything else you want to bring up?
Well, because this is important, yeah, especially for Libertarian Party. I'm disappointed the Libertarian Party doesn't rally behind the Constitution. Actually, if they talk about it, they seem to be against it. And they even talk about even writing a new Constitution, which would be a terrible idea, The Constitution is a libertarian document. There's no way around it, and we simply cannot. Even we libertarians can't write a better document than that. All we need is libertarians in office to interpret it from a libertarian point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even have to change the Constitution to do that. You just stop. Don't worry about the 16th Amendment. Who cares? We're not going to tax you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So we won't even bother to repeal the 16th Amendment because we're not taxing you. We're not taxing income anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be a libertarian. That'd be a libertarian world. So they don't have to change the Constitution. You just have to change the people who you elect.
Mm-hmm. All right. Sounds like a plan.
I love that.
All right. Well, thank you, Clyde, for joining us. It was very educational. Thank you very much. We hope you do really well in your race. But like you said, it sounds like you got a Republican stronghold. So
3.2%. How about that?
Hey, the better you do, the better libertarianism is put in front of other people, because that means they're paying attention and they are getting fed up with the two-party system and they're going to look for another option. So
well, they say that, but
they say that and they keep electing Republicans and Democrats. So everybody who's watching, this is Clyde Garland running for Congress. That was SD 17, 18?
17.
18. 17. Sorry. So thank you for tuning in. We are going to have more candidate interviews coming up, so stay tuned.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Thank you
so much, Clyde. I'm
All right.
fascinated.
All right. Take care.